back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live in the studio here in Cologne, Germany for the Summer Challenger Playoffs, brought to you thanks in part by our friends at Coca-Cola. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and I'm joined by Trevor Quickshot Henry for this best-of-5 series between the Ninjas in Pajamas and the Unicorns of Love.
Yes, now these two teams are battling for third place, and it's a do-or-die series for both, because only the top 3 teams will advance to the Spring Promotion Tournament and challenge those LCS teams for their spots. So that third and final placement for the Promo Tournament is what's at stake today, in theory, the end of our next 5 games.
Yeah, make no mistake, this is a really important game for both of these teams. So to quickly recap the journey that's brought both of these teams to this third place match, let's take a look at the Challenger Playoff brackets. Ninjas in Pajamas, of course, began the postseason as the #1 overall seed, skipping the quarterfinal round and playing a rematch of their Summer 2 finals against SK Gaming Prime in the semi-finals. Of course, it was a repeat performance, unfortunately, for them, and they suffered the same fate and fell to SKP 2-1.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Unicorns of Love actually had to win a tiebreaker series just to make it into the playoffs as that 6th place seed. After they won a very tough 3-game series against Ocelot and Gamers 2 in the quarterfinals, but then they did come up just short yesterday against H2K Gaming, also taking that series to the full 3 games as well. Unfortunately, they did ultimately lose, and that's why they're here now in this third place decider.
Yeah, and these two teams, they have built up some real history over the season throughout 2014. Of course, the Challenger Series, the Ninjas in Pajamas have always beaten the Unicorns of Love. They are 4-0 against them in the Challenger Series, obviously playing them in 2 best-of-3s. However, outside of that Challenger Series, in the Face It and Black Monster Cup, it is the other way around, and in best-of-1s, it's the Unicorns that have always come out on top. I wonder if that's simply down to nerve issue between them, or whether it's just simply they can't handle those best-of-3s.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. We've spoken to a lot of Challenger Series commentators and casters, and they feel that in best-of-1s, Unicorns of Love, with their unique champion picks, surprise their opponents. At NIP, it's not cheese. It's a unique strategy. I hate that word.
I know you do.
And we'll see how they handle themselves, because this is going to be one of the longest series Unicorns of Love have ever had to play in.
Well, of course, as we saw in the playoff bracket yesterday, the Ninjas in Pajamas did fall short in the semi-finals, going down 2-1 to SK Prime, just like last week in the Challenger Series. To me, I just wonder, didn't they learn anything from that match they played last week?
So I don't think that they did, and to be fair, they also had to deal with the fact that they lost Ku in the jungle, and they had to replace him with Lulex. But truthfully, in the series against SK Prime, Ninjas in Pajamas, they had moments of brilliance. Their second game was very controlling, very strong. They kicked off the 3rd game of the series with a very strong laning phase. But strategic decision-making that was not good cost them their lead, and it cost them the entire series, and now they're playing for one last shot at the promos.
So let's go down the line and show you who exactly is in the team. Starting off, of course, with the Ninjas in Pajamas. In the top lane, it is Cabochard. He's been running a lot of Aurelia throughout the qualifiers. We're going to see whether he sticks to it or whether he switches it up and goes back to Nidalee, who is kind of his favorite champion.
Yeah, we'll see what he decides to play. I imagine the rest of the picks and bans might determine that. In the jungle, it is Lulex. It's a player who has already played for Gambit on the LCS stage. He performs phenomenally when he's given Lee Sin. But I do feel he needs to deliver at a higher level when he plays other champions to really impress both myself and anybody that's watched Lulex in the past.
Well, in the mid lane is a man you will know for Ninjas in Pajamas. It is Alex Ich, of course, known for his performances back in Moscow 5 and Gambit. He is now fighting to rejoin the LCS, of course, with his new team, NIP.
Yeah, back in the mid lane after a short stint as a top laner, of course. Then we've got Freeze. He is the only remaining member of the original NIP roster from the end of last year. He is an extremely talented ADC. He's got great mechanical ability, very good positioning. I feel his champion pool is also very impressive, though he's been trending towards the Kog'Maw and Tristana on the most recent patches, of course.
And of course, another former member alongside him running as support is Voidal, who is now playing there. He was also for Gambit, of course, back in the Season 3 World Championship, so very experienced. We're going to see how he works out for NIP.
Ex-Gambit, sorry, Ninjas in Pajamas. We'll see how they do.
So, on the other side of the table, it is, of course, the best named team in the world, the Unicorns of Love. They looked good across all of their games, but, well, they ran a very risky strategy. It was the old Yorick Cassiopeia tactic that worked back in Season 2. It wasn't quite enough, though, and H2K managed to capitalize on it.
Yeah, the main problem for the Unicorns of Love is those champion pools. When they compete on their stronger champions or their primaries, they definitely perform at a higher level. And when they try out those unique compositions like the Yorick top, Cassiopeia mid, it's fun to watch, but it just doesn't look like the team has enough experience with those lower tier champion picks, and it costs them games in longer series. Surprise factor works once, but generally not a second or third time.
Scares me how young this team looks, honestly.
Everyone looks young to you.
That is very true. I didn't realize Deficio was casting with me today. So, let's get on to the team, because the Unicorns of Love, well, you guys may not know these, or maybe you do. Maybe you've watched all of the Challenger. In the top lane, it is Vizicachi. He's done well so far, including holding the split push lane on Yorick.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be excited to cast that one once again. In the jungle, it will be Gilius. He's recently joined the team, and he puts together some very good ganks. He does well on gank-heavy jungles like Lee Sin, will be a contested pick. And recently, his Rengar has also been fairly impressive. I want to see if he gets his hands on the kitty cat.
Well, the mid laner is potentially the star of the team. It is Power of Evil. He is famed for his Syndra play, which he did get hold of, actually, in the quarterfinals. Also runs a pretty damn mean Orianna. We've got to keep an eye on this guy, see what he goes with in Champ Select. He pulled out Cassiopeia, as we mentioned, in the semifinals.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets his hands on that. In the AD carry role, it is a Vardags. I think he's going to have a tough time up against Freeze and Voidal, and I think he's going to need to step up his game to avoid being bullied around by one of the more aggressive bottom lanes in the challenger scene, and really all of Europe, actually, because Freeze and Voidal are quite scary.
And another man alongside him is his support player, of course. It is Hylissang, the final member of the team. He showed not afraid to get into the fights, especially starting off with those tanky picks like Braum and Thresh, getting straight involved in it.
Yeah, I think if you look at both of these teams, the general consensus is that NIP are the favorites, though NIP have been the favorites many times in the past and not delivered. So no predictions, we just need to see how the cookie crumbles.
Well, before we get match underway, let's hear what you guys have to say, or more importantly, what the players have to say about this crucial series.
Unicorns of Love are a really good team, even though they couldn't have their jungler. I think Julius is doing good on this tournament.
I'm not scared of them at all. I think our solo laners are much better. Their champion pools are much bigger.
Power of Evil, he's a really good mid laner right now. He doesn't even need to play the meta champions. He has a big champion pool, he can play every champion perfectly, and it's really scary.
I already played in the team with FLICKR before I was subbing at DreamHack. I know like the whole team of them now, after playing with them and subbing with them, so I feel confident in like predicting what he's going to play and countering it.
Something that they really like is Syndra mid. If they get ahead with the Syndra mid, there's no way you can stop it. They will just have all the map pressure and you can pretty much CG to them.
I definitely respect Freeze as a player, but I also am really confident in my own skill and my synergy with Hylissang.
It's our last chance and we just have to give all we have and win it. It's all about LCS. It's all or nothing.
We traveled here from different parts of the world and we're here to win.
If we lose this match, then we are out.
I mean, they just said everything exactly right there. It is all or nothing. It is the time. Can they make it into the LCS promotion series for the spring?
Yeah, it's very strong words as well. You know, the Unicorns of Love are not deterred or worried about the Ninjas of Pajamas. Both Power of Evil as well as Hylissang sitting in there going, we're not really afraid of our opposite numbers. We're not intimidated by them, which I think is the right mindset to have. But they need to be careful not to be overconfident and underestimate their opponents.
Well, I mean, if you look at, obviously, the matches, we talked about NIP, of course, have the figures over them. They've been the #1 seed, and unfortunately for Unicorns of Love, they faced them quite early in the Challenger series a bunch of times. Quarterfinals, get knocked out 2-0. But they have played against them a bunch of times.
Okay, so you've said numbers. I want to get this out of my system before we get to the games.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be the 7th time that the Ninjas of Pajamas have taken to the stage. Out of the 6 prior times, they have lost 5 and won once. So both promotion tournaments they took part in, they lost to Rockout first, then they lost to Millennium. They beat Denial in a Challenger Series, but they lost to SK Prime and H2K/C9. So whenever Ninjas of Pajamas get on that stage, they tend to underperform. There's a running joke on Reddit and within the team of Freeze saying, can we break the curse today? It's not a curse if you don't deliver on stage.
In fairness, I was kind of poking fun at him earlier on.
Well,
I was like, you guys kind of suck on stage. Are you actually going to do something today? He was like, well, we'll see.
This is...
Mithy was actually stood next to him. He's like, well, he's not on the team anymore, so that curse is gone.
Yeah, well, Mithy was coaching Super Hot Crew and they didn't deliver. So maybe it is... at the end of the day, Ninjas in Pajamas have not stepped up. And in the past, it's primarily because the players have been too passive.
Yeah.
And even when they have a lead, they're like, it's cool, we'll win later in the game.
7 hours against Millennium, anyone?
The players in today's lineup with Cabochard top lane, Lulex, with Freeze and Alex in particular, if he plays anything other than Ziggs, we may actually see slightly more aggressive moves and see the team trying to make things happen.
And speaking of Alex, honestly, I think there's a lot of pressure on him today.
Yeah.
You know, he chose to make this move. He was the one that left Gambit. He went away from the LCS to join this team he believed was going to get into the LCS, no problems. Didn't happen the first time around. Can it happen this time around? Who knows? But he's against Power of Evil, who has been doing serious work throughout the Challenger Series.
Power of Evil has, and not only has Power of Evil been doing a lot of work in the Challenger Series and impressing a lot of people who watch, Power of Evil played alongside Alex when Alex called himself a top laner and suffered from the direst Reginald symptom of moving to the top lane a few weeks ago. And Power of Evil was definitely confident he's got into the mindset of NIP. So we'll see who can out-mind game their opponents more.
Well, he is considered the second best Challenger Series top laner. We'll see how it works. Mid laner, rather.
Mid laner, yeah.
So we're about to head into picks and bans. Let's see how you guys have checked in on this one. See how you predicted this series will play out. It is a best of 5, remember, of course. So you voted for NIP. 70% of the vote. That's a pretty big vote for a team that has only won once on this stage.
You said it best. I don't really have a whole lot more to add. On the same token, Unicorns of Love, they are known for their unique strategies in best of ones. They pull out Rammus jungle, they pull out Yorick Cassiopeia, and it can work. I don't know if that can work 5 times in a row. It hasn't worked for them against Gamers 2. It didn't work for them against H2K. And if NIP are able to adapt mid-series, if Alex and Voidal in particular are able to draw from the competitive experience in the past from playoffs, that can help them in this series.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to get underway. Game 1 of the Challenger Series. Of course, this is fighting for that final slot in the LCS promotion. Of course, who they will face, who knows? There's obviously a bunch of teams already there. Gambit and Copenhagen Wolves. We don't know who will be joining them. That will be found out next week. Of course, in the 5th place matchup, Super Hot Crew will be fighting for that. The question is, will they be playing SK and Millennium? We'll find that out tomorrow. But right now, though, Ninjas in Pajamas and Unicorns of Love, the bans are underway. Syndra, Yorick, and Orianna taken away. Syndra, of course, from Power of Evil. Yorick from the top lane. A ban against Vizitachi. He'll be happy with that one. Nidalee being taken away. Cabochard not going to get to play that one. There is the Lee Sin ban against Lolex, of course. Played 600-700 games on that. And Rengar in the jungle. Maokai does get through instantly. Locked in for Cabochard.
So all of the primary go-to picks are up and available. We've seen NIP locking in Cogmore fairly early on in the past. In a lot of the previous...
Banception.
Pick and Banception, of course. And we need to see if they're going to prioritize the Cogmore once again for Freeze. But in terms of the rest of the bans, nothing is too surprising or out there. Unicorns of Love still have the possibility of running that Cassiopeia mid. Maybe the Rammus jungle, and the only reason I highlight it, it has helped them pick up wins in the past. Not 100% sure if they're going to do it this game.
No, absolutely. And Morgana Tristana was locked in there, of course, so that's going to see strong top, strong bottom lane. We did just see that one working out. Tristana favoured over the likes of Cogmore, as you mentioned, Twitch out there as well. Haven't seen a great deal of Lucian today.
No, not at all. I've spoken to Nif upstairs regarding Cogmore and Tristana, and he was just highlighting how in the super late game, Tristana, with her greater range that is default, not reliant on a cooldown like the Bioarcane Barrage of Cogmore, in addition to having a reposition spell and a knockback spell, is worth its weight in gold. So that's why he was saying Tristana is the preferred pick. But if you get ahead with Cogmore, you can play a lot more aggressively in the mid game and really punish Tristana, who is, I don't want to say exceptionally weak, but is significantly weaker than Cogmore in the mid game stages of the matchup.
That Evelyn locked in does force changes in the jungle. It seems that it will be Jarvan the 4th selected for Gilius. We'll see how that works out for him. Of course, Freeze on Cogmore. Cogmore, a champion that has been played pretty heavily over the last few weeks since the 4.11 changes.
Yeah, since the AD itemization and attack speed sort of worked in his favor. But with that Jarvan pick, I mean, Evelyn was taken off the table, Elise was still up. And despite the fact that Elise's Cocoon and Repel were changed on this patch, you still feel that she is quite impactful. And Gilius has opted to go for Jarvan. Jarvan, in particular, in the challenger scene, is one of, if not the most impactful junglers. He is seen by so many of these teams in a lot of those Challenger Series playoffs, and he can do very well, especially if you know how to flag and drag to avoid vision.
So we'll see. Is that going to be an Aurelia in the top lane? It will be. But Zed locked in for Alex. It's a champion I love to see him playing on. Of course, Thresh is also going to be alongside that Kog'Maw. So the safety for Kog'Maw. There's a lot of aggression come from NIP this time around.
It is, and I do feel like there's a lot of mid-game power that NIP are looking for.
Whoa!
Whoa, okay, so Swain top is... Here we go. This is Unicorns of Love. They always pull out interesting champions. And it's just another one added to the list. I want to quickly touch on NIP. I feel like their mid-game power spike will be higher than that of Unicorns of Love. And when you consider that Maokai, while he has damage, it's not necessarily massive amounts of burst, he shouldn't be able to punch out Swain in that mid-game stage. If Zed blows his death mark on Swain as well, it allows both Ziggs and Tristana to be fairly safe in the sidelines. So if NIP don't win within the early to mid-game stages of this matchup, I feel like the Unicorns of Love can in theory outscale them. The wave clear with Ziggs, the range on Tristana, but it means they need to survive the early game, survive that early aggression that you were talking about on NIP's side, and we need to see what Swain does. Because he can be fantastic or he can flop. Lemon Dogs random last year in the Season 3 World Championships, and it was terrible.
It wasn't so good. Well, now that the champions have been summoned, who do you think has the edge? Send a tweet to @LOLesports. Use the hashtag NIP win for Ninjas in Pajamas and UOL win for the Unicorns of Love. And we'll check out the results shortly as the game gets underway. What do we think overall from these two teams? Pretty well balanced. A lot of aggression from NIP for this time around.
Yeah, I think there's more early to mid-game aggression. With the Evelyn, who requires a lot more warding. From talking to some of the Challenger casters, there's a little bit of a split in opinion regarding Unicorns of Love's average warding game. And if you look at their quarters and semifinals, I think they dropped the ball. I don't think they warded as efficiently as they should have. You can't afford to do that against an Evelyn, especially in a best-of-5 like this, where Lulex, who has a lot of stage experience, can potentially punish you really hard.
Yeah, of course, remember, played for Gambit over in London and here as well on the stage in Cologne. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 underway. Ninjas in Pajamas starting off as the blue team up against the Unicorns of Love in the red team. This is a best-of-5 Challenger Series. It's the third-place playoff. It is a big, important game because the winner will, of course, reach the LCS Promotion Series and see who they face. Currently, Ninjas in Pajamas do not have a good history here on this stage. Unicorns of Love, of course, fresh-faced young players, their first experience of the big stage. We'll see how it works out. And I'm really interested because I was sat up in the player room with both of these teams as they watched the LCS quarterfinals play out, and they were discussing hard about the merits of the lane switching that was going on in that Super Hot Crew game. It looks like Unicorns are going to go for a full 5-man invade. They want to get the ward on the red buff, and I want to see, because there was a big difference of opinion between Alex, between Freeze, between Voidal, and between the Unicorns of Love. None of them could agree on whether the Kog'Maw Twitch should be alongside, up against Tristana, Morgana. Should they be at the top? Should they be at the bottom? Obviously, they're going to get the dragon, then they're going to go to the tower. It was a right back and forth argument. And that's, you know, kind of highlighted for me how difficult your job is, Trevor, because if they can't decide, the players themselves, how are you going to tell us?
That's the beauty of it, because if you look at the matchups, I think you have to feel that the likes of Kog'Maw and Thresh should have a slight lane advantage against Tristana and Morgana, especially because of the fact that Tristana's early game damage has been hit. The lower ranks on that explosive shot have been reduced, and that removes some of her bullying power. We'll keep talking about that in a second, because NIP are potentially surrounding the Unicorns of Love. So this could be a risky situation. They're going in.
Oh, Vardak's out of position. Is he going to be the focus when Kabashad comes around the side? Oh, the catch is only on the red buff. Look at this though. Gilius taken very low. Kabashad low as well. He's going to get caught out. He will go down. First blood came. Lolax now taken out. He will drop as well. Unicorns of Love got 2 kills already. Can they chase and get the third? They will. Down behind. It gets on Alex. No follow-up though. Power Power of Evil will get through, but I think he's going to be able to escape this one safely. Darkbind will be on a long cooldown. There's a bouncing bomb coming through. Darkbind in sidesteps. He will get free, but it's a 2-0 start, and that's a 1,000 gold advantage already. People going back and buying a Ruby Crystal start for Swain.
Ninjas in Pajamas had no coordination on that invade at all. They were split up, and it looked like Cabochard was the one that wanted to go aggressive, but he didn't have the support of the rest of his team. And in addition to that, Voidal did not connect with a champion on that death sentence. That is a very, very big game changer. If that had caught a Unicorn of Love out, Ninjas in Pajamas would have collapsed on that single champion, but they didn't. So they end up giving first blood to Vizichachi, and Hyalasing manages to grab a secondary kill. Swain is a champion that wants to snowball, he wants to get items, and that is a very good start for him in the very early minutes of the game, despite the fact that first blood is not necessarily worth the greatest amount pre-4 minutes.
Well, we talked about the lane swap, and clearly both teams wanted to do it. They both hinted to the top. What's after that big fight? They're both sticking around. We'll see who manages to gain an advantage from this one. Neither of these players, Vardax or Hyalasing, have gone back to buy, so they're sitting on quite an amount of gold compared to Ninjas in Pajamas. Alexic has returned now, got himself full health. Started out quite brazen, honestly, with that longsword. 360 gold, of course, did afford him a bunch of health pots, which he has already burnt through. Meanwhile, Power of Evil, sitting, of course, with that Dawn's Ring, yet to use his single pot.
I actually think the lane swap is very intelligent here for the Unicorns of Love. By forcing themselves into that 2v1 scenario, it's going to open them up to some options in terms of reading Lulex's position. There's not enough deep wards from Unicorns of Love to actually be 100% sure of where Lulex is going. But as long as they don't overextend in the 2v2 lane, it only really allows Lulex to go middle or bottom. So we need to keep an eye on Vizichachi and Power of Evil. They don't want to overextend and run the risk of getting caught out by the invisible jungler of the Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, let's not forget, of course, Lulex will be quite far behind after being caught out at that red buff. He is chasing at the moment, of course. It may well open some opportunities, some early opportunities for Gilius to try and make a gank. Has got flash available to him if he tries to go in this mid lane. We'll find out. So, Cabochard, he had to back early, gets himself a second Doran's Ring, along with a health pot and mana pot. We'll see how that works out for him. Did go for that ward, so he's going to get that in the river to give himself some coverage of Gilius.
I want to see how Cabochard itemizes, because with an Evelyn who is not necessarily the greatest frontline tank, she wants to be flanking, coming in from the sidelines and creating disruption and panic, not standing in front of 3 or 4 members tanking up all of the damage. I feel like Cabochard needs to go towards a tanky build fairly early on, maybe Rod of Ages into some MR, Spirit Visage, because they are up against a double AP threat, which is very important to note. So we'll see how Cabochard does itemize, but I feel like he's feeling the pressure of Chachi having the early kill and obviously having the CS advantage in the opening stages of the game.
Gilius doesn't realize he's trailing Lulex, who is following along. Of course, they have full vision and note that he is coming around that corner. He's going to come straight face long into it. Doesn't fancy this fight, I don't think. Will flag and drag away. Took a quick burst, and that red buff will burn him down. That sends him packing in the jungle, and it also gives a little bit of a warning sign for Power of Evil. He is fairly static. He has got his flash available, but won't want to burn it yet. He may well be forced to, because Lulex is looking to flank.
Let's see if he can get a decent satchel charge. Alexic does not have access to his death mark, so I think kill threat will be slightly low, but Alex is getting close to it. Here they come.
Comes straight in towards it. Will manage to get the damage down. Hasn't forced him away. Good satchel charge away. Turning this back around. Remember, Power of Evil had hit level 6. Will have that Mega Inferno Bomber wave available to clear the wave. And he will save the tower as well.
So all of the early advantages going in favor of the Unicorns of Love. They punish NIP for a terrible invade. They have got a CS advantage in both the top and the middle lanes. And, you know, you feel that Swain could work. He's going in on Cabochard.
He lands this bind every time. And Cabochard not set for this wave, I don't think. And Vizichachi, well, he can just farm this wave out with his ulti.
So I want to talk about Vizichachi a little bit, because in solo queue online against the likes of Dr. Mundo, he runs Poppy as a counterpick. And in the Challenger Series against the likes of Maokai, we've heard and we've seen Smitty running Riven into Maokai as a counterpick. Now Maokai, of course, is a melee champion. He has fairly good sustain in lane, so he can over a very long period of time, harass and survive. But up against a Swain, once he hits level 6, he's going to have equal, if not better sustain, and a better duel, thanks to the root, thanks to the slow, thanks to the laser bird pew-pew-pewing you in the face. So I don't want to call it a counter, but it definitely has the tools to deal with the aggression that Kabashar can put down.
It's good to see we are seeing some variances in that lane. He has backed off, got himself the Catalyst complete along with the second Doran's Ring and boots. So feeling pretty strong in this lane for now. Of course, comes straight back, wipe out that wave, and may actually start putting some pressure on Kabashar because he can shove that wave right into that tower every time.
Now, we need to see how NIP are going to claw this lead back. With both of the duos being top, it is going to limit your dragon presence because Swain, Maokai are not particularly well known for very fast dragons. So the first team to actually move their duo to the bottom lane may then signal dragon is going to be a realistic objective battle within the next few minutes. But for the time being, Unicorns of Love, I think they should be very happy and content to continue CSing and continue in this setup because their lanes are in their advantage and they're generating a lead simply by bullying their opponents.
Power of Evil continuing to go towards that Athenes, despite the fact he is up against a Zed in this mid lane. Of course, Bilgewater Cutlass was picked up by Alex and that ping ward which he just placed. We'll see whether he goes aggressive on Gilius. He will, straight away, getting straight on towards him. Is he going to have enough damage? I'm not sure it is. He's going to have to completely go all in. He will not have it. Will it force, of course, the jungler away long enough to go for Dragon? It seems there's going to be no movement.
Alex burned everything. Flash, Ignite, Deathmark. Yes, he's behind in CS 30 at this stage. It'll be reduced somewhat by that wave, but that to me screams like a, I need to make a play now. All right, Vizichachi, he's gone Kabashar, but this is 2v1.
Not going to completely commit to it. Doesn't have any vision, and he's just going to keep using those birds and wipe out the waves. It's going to be very hard for Kabashar to keep pushing. And if you just start looking at CS numbers, you can see in that bottom lane between the Maokai and Swain, big numbers starting to develop, as well as you mentioned, Alex Ich falling heavily behind Power of Evil.
Yeah, I just think that all-in onto Gilius felt like somewhat of a desperation play. All right, Gilius, let's see if he can make a gank on Kabashar. He does have the slam dunk.
Goes in towards him, already using that, gets the Catalyst down, the root doesn't land, there's the Mega Inferno Bomb, and doesn't matter, doesn't land, doesn't give the assist. But it's a good, clean kill for Vizichachi.
So by getting Kabashar off the board, now the Unicorns of Love are going to open up a safer dragon. We do see Alex. He's burned all of his summoners, does not have Deathmark available, and Lulex is actually nowhere near. So this looks like it's going to be an uncontested dragon. By the time Lulex gets in range, I feel like it's going to be too late. Again, not the fastest of dragons, but it's going to be safely secured, and the Unicorns of Love extend their lead. They've just got a very, very strong start to this matchup, and Voidal, unfortunately, not having the best of luck with those death sentences.
Vardax is doing a fine job in this top lane up against Freeze at the moment. Freeze, of course, as you mentioned, probably the more experienced of these AD carries. We thought Vardax may have a few problems, but right now we're definitely holding his own, holding well. Of course, did get those 2 assists early on, which has given him a big boost towards that Infinity Edge you can see he's building at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see who hits those power spikes first, because Freeze is obviously going to go the Trinity Force route. It will give him a window of opportunity where Vardax is potentially still finishing his Eye-Edge into Static Shiv. But it means Ninjas in Pajamas have to take advantage of that. The 2 times we've seen Lulex try go bottom lane, it hasn't worked out, but now Vizichachi is half mana and overextended.
Well, now he's in trouble. Is he going to get around the side there? Lulex does go down, has to flash away from it, exhaust. Is he going to be getting on towards him? We'll just force him away, no problem there. Vizichachi pretty safe, honestly.
While Summoner Spell was burned, while that was going on, Voidal and Freeze did force Vardax to back off to the rocket jump. So, we touched on Freeze and Voidal just, sort of having the advantage in the 2v2, and Vardax is doing a good job at staying relevant. He's farming effectively, but he needs to hit that late game power spike as quickly as possible. I just think there's big power spikes that are changing here. Rod of Age is already completed for Vizichachi, and Singh manages to get away with his life. So we'll see who comes out on top. Voidal playing Thresh. Some changes in 4.13. That shield only affects a single target. Not necessarily a win every team fight. Not Gillising, he's baiting. Here comes Gilius.
Trying to bait too much. Yeah, Lantern quickly slides Freeze away. So Vardax returns back to lane. Had to get himself a second Doran's Blade, actually. So it wasn't quite enough, as you mentioned, to go get that eye edge just yet. We'll see whether Freeze is able to do that. They're both closing in on 4,000 gold, so it's only a matter of time. Hylissang pushes in. Stuck around for a long time, managed to pick himself up a little bit of farm while it was all gone. Meanwhile, back down in this bottom lane, Rod of Age is now completed by Visichachi. Once again, he goes straight into Cabochard. Cabochard in all sorts of trouble here. He's going to have to walk away. Has got Flash available, so he's not in that much danger unless he gets caught out once again. Visichachi happy to dive this.
Couldn't get away.
Cabochard had Flash available. Didn't bother using it.
Big smiles on the face of Chachi, and so well deserved. Every never move that he's needed to connect has landed. Rooted Cabochard in place and just ran him down. You know, you do have to admit that Cabochard, if he was going to flash, he needed to do it before the Decrepify slow was on him. Once that slow landed, it may have allowed Visichachi to still close the gap despite that teleport. And he's really struggling. It's going to be such a long time before Cabochard is able to stay on the front line and actually protect the carries of Ninjas in Pajamas, thanks to the great work that Visichachi and Gilias have done in this lane.
Oh, that never move lands again, and Visichachi just making all sorts of moves on Cabochard. Cabochard needs desperate help. It's either a case of leaving him on the island right now for Lolex or help him out, because Visichachi is going to be a monster by the time they start moving into team fights, which at this rate will not be long.
No, and with the Dragon already going the way of Unicorns of Love, the moment it's available, I expect the Unicorns of Love to instantly start it. They've got a completed Rod of Ages that's been stacking for a while, and Visichachi sitting on 900 gold. You've got the Athene's Unholy Grail already finished for Power of Evil, and Gilias, while he doesn't have a massive amount of tank stats at the moment, there's a lot of tools with the Flag and Drag and the Cataclysm to dictate the pace of a team fight. You can lock Evelyn in or out along with Cogmore. So, as long as Gilias gets a good Cataclysm down, there's only 2 or 3 champions that can get in or out. Oh, they've caught Hylissang top.
Hylissang's in trouble, you can see. Oh, not sure about Vardax jumping in. I think he wanted to get the other side of Freeze and rocket in, bounce him in towards the tower. That was risky play. Hylissang does live, though, from the aggression and the use of exhaust from both supports as well.
Yeah, but it's Vardax that comes off worse for wear. Not only does he lose the pressure in the top lane, Summoner Heal was also blown, and Power of Evil is looking for killing Lulex.
Yeah, Lulex, that's how you protect a pink ward, that's for sure. Do not take my pink ward. I'm going to throw every single bomb at you.
And the rubber ducky. Ended up working, got the pink ward protected, but it's just, I think the Unicorns of Love, my biggest problem when I was watching the semifinals and the quarterfinals was their strategic decision making, and I sort of felt like they lost the plot at times, and you cannot say that of this game because they've been in absolute control.
The one thing I would say though, Unicorns of Love, especially against Gamers 2, they were behind at the start of every single game. They're not behind this time. They are quite far ahead, in all honesty. Ooh, Alex Sitch actually going to get caught. Has to use his shadow to get out of that one. No,
Flash,
actually. Flash,
yep.
Yeah.
Really afraid. And it was quite smart from Alex not to all in. I think he realized there was support. There's very little chance of seeing a Morgana in your jungle that aggressive without having some support. And to finish the point that you were saying, yes, the Unicorns of Love tend to play from behind. We'll see how well they play in this game because they do have a sizable lead. And we also need to see how they play the rest of the series. Unicorns of Love often go 1-0 only to lose 2-1 in best of 3s. So we'll see how they do this time around. Dragon is up in 20 seconds. Both of the duos have moved bottom, and Gilias is going to pay some attention to the Ninjas in Pajamas bottom lane. Remember, Freeze gets locked in and there's no lantern for him to get to safety. And there's going to be a fairly dead Cogmore, but the ward revealed Gilias' position.
Freeze just quickly sidestepped last minute there. Of course, with the duo lanes moving down, it does mean Dragon is going to get started off. Unicorns of Love took the first one. Can they take the second one? NIP look like to be fighting for this one. Oh, wow. Power of Evil. Ignite still running, not going to be enough. And now NIP, this is going to be a risky challenge.
Well, we'll see if NIP can make this fight happen. They need to commit soon, or Dragon's going to get secured.
Oh, Lolex comes in, got knocked to the side, quickly takes the lance and gets out of there. Teleport comes down. Here comes Visichachi. Can he get more? Never move.
Get
two of them. Cataclysm comes in. Lolex in trouble. Can he get caught down? Soul Shackles will knock off. Lolex will go down. Visichachi diving on the tower. He's got hit points of days here. Freezing all sorts of trouble. He's going to go down. It's a double for Visichachi. What a fantastic move by the Unicorns of Love.
They have got such a control of this game. Power of Evil 1v1s Alex on his signature champion. Zed is a champion that he played so well for so long, and the never moves from Vizicachi keep talking about how well placed they are. Locks up 2 members of NIP, and does the smart thing as well. Focuses down the targets that are running away, realizing his teammates can finish off anyone that was locked inside that Cataclysm. So that ended up being 3 kills in total, 4 kills in total, plus a dragon, plus 2 towers, and an 8,000 gold lead at 17 minutes.
And NIP, you know, you may wonder why they didn't get out of that never move. They didn't see it coming. They saw the teleport. They had no vision of Vizicachi. They had no idea where he went. Came around the side. Fantastic play. 5-0-2 now for Vizicachi in this top lane. Pulling out unique champions a number of times throughout the Challenger Series. And this, honestly, for me, is a sign of a team that knows what they need to do to make things happen, how to win. So often we'll see Challenger teams coming through with just basically one team comp. That's all they can do, one set of champions. A couple of those big champions get banned out. They don't know what to do. Unicorns of Love are looking very strong in game 1. Remember though, this is a best of 5. There's a long way to go tonight.
Exactly. So the thing that we keep talking about, Ninjas in Pajamas struggle when they're on this stage. But on the same token, Unicorns of Love, oh, Cabashot might be going down.
Cabashot in trouble once again. Is it going to be enough? No, it's going to be ticking away, but has to get out. This time Flash was used and he will escape. That may give up the top tower.
So Cabashot only just got his Rod of Ages about 30 or 40 seconds ago. Vizicachi's been stacking up for a very long time, in addition to having a Spirit Visage already completed. But just to finish the point, Unicorns of Love are generally fantastic in best of 1s, especially when they surprise their opponents, and they fail in extended series. So in order for me to believe that the Unicorns of Love are actually going to win this series, they need to continue punishing Ninjas in Pajamas, force them to go on tilt, force them to believe the curse is real, make them second guess themselves. And if the Unicorns of Love get a strong start in game 2, maintain control, you never know, they might be able to take this series, because 70% of the people when we started felt NIP were going to come out on top, and that's definitely not the case in game 1.
I want to see how quick they are at closing games out. They have clearly a gigantic advantage. Lowlet's going to try and flank around. Can he manage to land a good Aghanim Embrace? Unicorns of Love were grouped up. They are aware of the threat. But Vizicachi is now coming back. Sorcerer's Boots are completed along with that Spirit Visage. They spotted, of course, with that ping ward. They saw Lolex coming. And they're continuing to siege this one down. NIP, they're going to struggle to wipe out these waves. They're just going to get sieged out.
Yeah, they're going to be very reliant on Alex. Look at this. They've caught cover. They're going in.
Wow, so much damage on him. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. That is the top laner. The tankiest member of the team just getting annihilated. Voidal in trouble now. He gets Cataclysmed on. Gilius moves in towards that. That's another kill picked up for the AD carry. Vardax this time. They're going to continue pushing through the base. How are NIP going to stop them?
They simply cannot. This is a 3 versus 5, and as long as the Unicorns of Love have minions, they can continue sieging towers. Lolex is recalling in the base. Alex is running all the way around. Unicorns of Love are going to take a 20-minute inhibitor. D-Man, you asked how are the Unicorns going to finish the game? They're just going to push the middle lane, take the inhib, and I would imagine if they want to play this safe, they could play the Baron bait and then kill NIP to win the game. Alternatively, they can just play patiently. I mean, this is just a well-executed tower dive. They have strong champions on the front line. Jarvan and Swain can tank up towers for days. And NIP was so split up. Alex was running with his tail between his legs. Lulex was nowhere near the battle to engage. And Unicorns of Love just absolute stamp control.
It's a panic Baron. NIP rushing up towards it. I think this is going to be a panic Baron. I think they're going to rush in. Pink ward will get cleared. The question is, can they go through? Do they have the confidence? They're going for it. They've started it off. I'm not too sure whether this is the right move. Remember, Mega Inferno Bomb's not available. Vizicachi is going round though. And Never Move would catch them out here, and that would be game over for NIP. They will back out. They realized it was a problem. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. Oh, Alex taken so low. Dark finally catches on towards him. Cabashot caught out though. Vizicachi, he's going to get a kill on it once again here, and he is now godlike. 7-0-2 on Swain top lane. It is a thing, ladies and gentlemen, alongside the cow.
The Unicorns of Love are just punishing NIP for every single decision that they make. Healer Singh actually caught a Dark Binding on Alex on the way out, but the rest of the team wasn't able to respond. And I love what the Unicorns of Love are doing. They, instead of going for the Baron, they're pushing the objectives, they're pushing the towers. They've got such a massive lead, they don't need to run the risk of throwing in the pit at the moment. So we'll see if they continue pushing with this minion wave. There's not a whole lot of minions, but they've got super minions in the base of NIP. So time is on their side, wave clear is on their side. The massive item advantage for most of the lanes is on their side. And there's very little NIP can do barring punishing an overcommitted Unicorns of Love squad.
So I wonder if they purposely let this Maokai through. They knew what they were going to do to counter it. Or they've just simply put Kabashard in an uncomfortable position. 0-5-0 is massive tilt. In case of, he may well take this upon himself and just think, oh, it's all my fault. Going into game 2, it's going to be a serious problem. That's the second inhibitor going down. Minions, super minions coming through. You can see they're stacked up. Game 1,
bottom lane
very
well.
much in control. You can see minions coming around. They just can keep on pushing. Nobody can get near them. They've got so much crowd control, so much damage. Unicorns of Love are just throwing everything towards these towers. NIP move on forward. Hillisang, he wants to fight. I don't think he wants to back away.
Well.
Super minions taking down one Nexus turret. They're pushing on through. Can they finish off the game? Mega Inferno Bomb will wipe out the wave. Inhibitor will get taken down. Hillisang takes all of the damage. Alexic focusing on the support. Can just about get that kill, but they quickly turn it back around. Vardax gets on towards him. They move on towards the Nexus turret. That will go down as well. One more shot should do that as Kabashard gets pounced on. Vardax makes himself another kill. It's a 3-for-1 so far. The Nexus turret will fall. And ladies and gentlemen, game 1 is over inside 23.5 minutes. 14-1 kills. Absolute domination by the Unicorns of Love in game 1.
Exquisite performance. There is very, very little to say other than flawless decision making. And I love the way that Unicorns of Love actually finished the game. The moment they got the lead, the moment they got that middle inhibitor, backed away, they responded to the NIP desperation Baron, and instead of going for Baron themselves and stalling it out and waiting a few minutes, they looked at the minion waves, realized they could push top, realized they'd be able to push middle, and completely shut up the Ninjas in Pajamas.
Well, the confidence of youth is absolutely a thing. 7-0-5 for Vizichachi in that top lane on Swain, ladies and gentlemen. Solo queue will never be the same again.
No, it really won't.
We've had Alistair in the top lane today with Trinity Force, Static Shift. Now we've got
Emperor
Emperor
Palpatine is what
yes,
Twitter was saying.
Oh, wow.
It just works out.
I mean, this is the beauty of moving into playoffs. We start to see teams starting to throw out new and exciting things. Of course, the 4.13 patch coming in, opening up a few opportunities as well.
I also think in this particular matchup, the fact that you were able to get first blood on Chachi Swain, regardless of the fact that gave him a Ruby Crystal, that's not a massive, massive advantage in lane, but the psychological advantage that gives you in the head-to-head when you're sort of the underdog. Every single time we looked at that lane, Kabashard was being bullied. Kabashard was being pushed away.
Well, he got the catalyst so early, and of course, every time he's leveling up, he's getting those health, mana back straight away, and it's causing so many problems for Maokai.
And I think we've seen 2 ganks from Lulex actually fail in that lane, and the first time that Gilia shows up, he gives another kill to his top lane Swain. Swain had a Rod of Ages by about 12 minutes on the clock, which is incredible. And there's very little that a Maokai is going to be able to do against the constant harass. Anytime he goes in to try last hit, Nevermove's going to be on the floor. He's going to have that laser bird in his face and just
he was hitting that Nevermove very well, though. Like every single time it landed up, he would follow it straight up as well. No messing around. Fantastic performance, no doubt about it, for Unicorns Love in game 1.
There's also one other thing we have to highlight. Power of Evil was able to 1v1 Zed Alex Sitch in that middle lane. Fair enough, he did have a farm advantage and there was some global gold in his pockets, but Power of Evil is a mid laner that is very highly touted in the challenger scene, and being able to take down Alex Sitch is an accomplishment, despite the fact that Alex may not necessarily be at his previous level of form.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we can always say about the European scene, we always get some new mid laner that comes through that is incredible. Power of Evil could be that guy. We'll see how it works out for them. Overall, though, let's have a look at, of course, the duo lane. We did have Infinity Edge Static Shift finally built out by the Tristana. Of course, you will be looking with the Tristana Cogmore to a late-game team, but neither of these got to it.
Very quickly, the duo lanes were almost irrelevant this series. It really was about those solo laners, but I do think that Vardax actually held up against Freeze. I felt that the ability mismatch was somewhat higher, but again, it was game 1 of the series. It's where Unicorns of Love shine. We'll see if they can do it in the next couple of matches.
Yeah, fantastic start to the series. It's a best of 5, ladies and gentlemen. For now, we are going to send it over to Shox for some in-depth analysis after that match.
Thank you very much, D-Man. I'm here with Martin Deficio, Lunga, and Alliances. Nif is still joining us for our analysis here today. Thank you very much, by the way, for helping us out. So, guys, breaking down picks and bans, there's only one thing that, of course, is incredibly exciting about that, and it was the Swain pick.
Yeah.
Now, Deficio, we saw it turn out okay, but tell me first what you thought when you just saw it picked.
Well, Swain is probably the best champion in the game, just all around. But now I was very surprised. I was like, okay, how's it gonna work? Is it just he wants to one-on-one the Maokai and like just try and, you know, poke him from range and out-sustain him because Swain is so good in a one-on-one if he gets a good start. But he didn't have to do much because NRP decided to walk in and give them 2 early kills. He got a first blood. He got down to the lane before Maokai was there, so he got an early CS lead, and he just used it to completely snowball out of control. Very well played. I was really happy to see Swain doing so well.
Yep, that's it. No, seriously, let's take a look at maybe the other picks coming out of NIP. Nif, what do you think of the Zed pick coming in there for Alex? He's maybe not ideal in this situation.
Yeah, I said before already that I'm not really a fan of Zed, and I think if they picked up something different, they might have drawn the game out and then maybe come back. But if you pick Zed and then you lose to level 1, the game is almost over.
And also just to add in, Swain is going to build Outlast pretty much every game, or at least go like Frozen Heart, a lot of armor. Ziggs is going to build an Outlast because he's against the Zed here, which means you can't kill any of the 2 solo laners. You have to focus on Tristana, who can just go Quicksilver Sash, and all of a sudden, late game, you have no target. And then you just have a team who can constantly siege down your tower, and you won't be able to fight them.
Yeah, can you maybe summarize the game, how it went from there? Because we've heard it from Trevor as well. It wasn't really the dual lane that mattered. Do you feel if they've gotten ahead, maybe, that the game could have gone otherwise? What would have made this game gone the other direction with a Swain so fed?
Well, so it's pretty hard for an AD carry to do anything in the situation where the enemy top lane is so strong. It's simply all about the level 1. It did everything because not only did it give 2 kills to Unicorns of Love, Alex got chunked before he even got into the lane at level 1. So he was very far behind from the start. He fell even further behind in the CS. And then the bottom lane, because Maokai joined the lane so late because he died, you had an early CS and early experience advantage for the Swain, which meant both solo laners were just pretty much doomed from the start.
Yeah, and if we've seen, of course, and we've heard a lot of people say Maokai is just a very best pick if you have in that top lane. Yet we've seen here today a couple of times there are some very specific counter picks to him. So what did you think of this specific one and the other ones we see today?
I'm not sure if it's a counter pick with Swain, but I think if Maokai falls behind, he can't really do what he's supposed to do, and then it doesn't matter what you have. It's the same for every pick. You see Kassadin's losing as well. It's just if you fall behind or not doing what you're supposed to do, then you can lose as well. And that, as Diffusion said already, the lead in every lane after the level 1, and that basically decided the game from the start on.
Yeah, very mature play then also, because it's not because you get that early lead that you can close it out. What of an impression have the Unicorns of Love left on you here after that first game?
So first of all, you can never predict what they're going to play. So they probably have some counter pick in their mind against whatever champion NIP can play, which makes the champ select very hard for NIP because, again, you don't often play against a Swain. So once he locks it in and you're like, oh, I'm in this matchup Maokai versus Swain, I have no idea what actually is going to happen, which is a very annoying thing, especially for a pro player because you're so used to seeing the same champions in a rotation from your scrims, from the LCS as well. So in that case, Unicorns of Love are looking very strong. And because they had such a big lead, they were aggressive, they used it. NIP has shown in the past, even when they're behind, they will try and fight you. Didn't really pay off.
Maybe not ideal. And if you are NIP at this point and you go into this next game, do you tunnel on, oh my god, they might pull out something special, or how do you go into that game too?
I guess Unicorn of Love have a lot of pocket picks already, so they can always bring something out. And what you should do against that, you should just pick meta picks and try to play the meta. Play for late game maybe, so you can draw it out a bit, and then just have the stronger picks because Swain falls off later on as well, or most of the picks they have picked so far. So I would just draw the game out, pick for late game, don't fall too far behind, still go for objectives, and then turn it around.
Well, we'll see what they decide to do in Game 2. We have to take a quick break, but when we return is Game 2 between the Unicorns of Love and Ninjas in Pajamas. We'll be right back.
Let's see if Demon will not believe.
I do not believe this, boy.
If Demon does not believe, then we have succeeded.
Here comes Busy Chatty. Can he get caught? Never move. Get 2 of them. Cataclysm comes in. Lolex in trouble. Can he get caught down? Soul Shackles will knock off. Lolex will go down. Busy Chatty diving on the tower. He's got hit points of days here. Freezing all sorts of trouble. He's going to go down.
Look at this. They've caught They're going in.
Wow, so much damage on him. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. That is the top laner. The tankiest member of the team just getting annihilated. Voidal in trouble now. He gets Cataclysmed on, but they quickly turn it back around. Vardax gets on towards him. They move on towards the Nexus turret. That will go down as well. One more shot should do that as Kavashard gets pounced on. Vardax makes himself another kill.